Hi, and welcome to the Quick and Dirty Romance Podcast. We're your hosts, romance authors and bicoastal best friends. I'm Sky McDonald, author of the Connecticut Commodore Steamy Hockey Romance series and the new retro romance series, Love and Mixed Tapes.
And I'm Sarah Smith, author of the Denver Bashers Steamy Hockey Romance series and the new college hockey romance, Cocky Mother Pucker.
And together we write as Sarah Sky, the best-selling duo behind the Unlikely Pairing series. We write hot books about complicated feelings, emotional risk, and really good sex.
Each episode, we pull back the curtain on what it's actually like to be contemporary romance authors. We talk writing desire, building tension, navigating publishing, and exactly how those infamous sex scenes come together on the page.
It's smart, honest, a little filthy, and wrapped up in 30 minutes or less. We respect your time, but we will leave you breathless.
So before we get started, please take a sec to tap those stars wherever you're listening. Ratings help more romance readers find us, and trust us, we notice every single one.
Okay, so diving into the topic today, I'm going to start by just saying that there's this idea that authors, kind of wake up in the morning, sip their coffee, sit down with a perfect, tightly outlined plan, and just voila, a book is born.
Yeah, okay, that's not exactly how it goes, at least not for me.
No, not for me either. Not for me either. So that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about writing craft and what our process actually looks like from idea to book in your hands. Okay, so we'll start with the big picture, a high level overview. Two terms you should know, plotter and pantser. Okay, a plotter is exactly what it sounds like. That's somebody who outlines their books to the T, maybe has a vision board. There's all kinds of things, but they know before they start with a draft how this book is going to go and what's going to happen. And a pantser is someone who has an idea for a book and dives in, no real plot overview, just kind of goes and sees how the story unfolds as it goes. So, Sarah, starting plotter or pantser, how are you? And let's compare our notes. Here we go.
Okay, so I am a pantser and I hate being a pantser because I will say life is so much easier as an author slash writer if you can plot and plan and outline everything out and you follow that outline to a T and you never deviate and you never like change things. But that's just not, I don't, that is just not how my brain works. I fully admit that I am a pantser at the core. I figured out how to work around this. I do my own sort of plotting and outlining. It's very different from other writers that I've encountered who have very like detailed structure
Hmm. Hmm.
outlines, and I'm just not like that. I I remember when I first started out, when I first started this author journey, I what I would do, I would never start at the beginning because I had no idea how I wanted to start my books. I would start with the scene that I wanted to write most, and that was usually like them kissing for the first time. So I would write the first kiss scene first, which is crazy. And then I would write like other scenes I wanted to write first, like all over the place, which was usually them fighting because I like enemies to lovers was one of the tropes I started out with as a writer.
Hmm.
So it'd be them fighting and then like fooling around, having sex, fighting again, him getting jealous. And it was just this like crazy web of scenes. And that was, I would just go back and like connect the dots. It was crazy. Um,
Wow.
yeah, and I don't do that anymore. I don't do that anymore because that was a little bit chaotic, but I think it was okay. Like starting out, I think, especially on this wild author journey, I think you need to find what you like about it. And what
Hmm.
I liked was writing like those fun scenes to me that were fun. So I did that first, but now I'm much more linear now.
Hmm.
I I start at the beginning. I have like an idea of how they meet. I have an idea of what the characters are like personality traits, and are they grumpy? Are they sunshine? Are they broody? Are they like friendly? Are they introverted? What are the tropes? I always know the tropes, like even the micro tropes. I feel like I have a good handle on that, but like it stays pretty loose. I mean, it's a romance, so like I know how it ends. I know the
Hmm.
HEA. They're gonna end up together. I don't always know how it's gonna go, and that's a little scary. As a
Hmm.
pantser, like when I start something, I'm like, okay, I don't know how I'm gonna get to the end. I have no idea, but I always, and I will say this, and I'm knocking on wood as I say it, I always get there because the more I write, the better I get to know the story and the more it fleshes out in my brain. And always by the end, I know exactly how. Like I've never been like, I don't know what do I do? I'm like 40,000 words and I have no idea. Thank God that's never happened. But I always get there. I just need to get there in my own like hot mess express way.
Okay, I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Um,
What about you? Are you
I am
crazy like
definitely a
me?
pantser. I'm definitely a pantser. I always have an idea before I start writing. I always have an idea of how the book is going to go. So it's not really like, I don't know, let's just see. But I'll say I think I resonate with what you're saying about not being entirely sure how they're going to end up together. Like there are definitely books where it's like, I know how this is going to go, and then there are other books that's like, how's this going to work itself out? Oh, that's how. But no, I've never gotten to a point like 40,000 words in. I do have some books I've never finished, like books that are just shelved and because I couldn't bring it together, but it wasn't just the ending. It was like the whole story. It just didn't come together. But yeah, definitely a pantser in terms of not planning it out. I just don't really feel like I don't, it doesn't, I've tried doing it. I've tried like plotting books and ideas for new books, but they all live kind of rent free in my head. So I don't really worry about it too much. I do think that you like having an idea or a log of ideas is definitely something that I have. Like a list of possible stories. That's definitely a thing, but I don't map them out. And it's funny that you say that about how you started so chaotically because not the same, but similar. When I was writing my Anti-Bell series, I would be writing along, and then one of the side characters, I would have a sudden idea of a story for them. So I would kind of stop the manuscript I was working on, go and write just like one scene out. And again, like you said, normally it's a kiss scene, especially Nemesis. That was one, it was like the first time that happened for me, where it's like, I have to write this scene because I can just see it so clearly, and it was so excited. But then after that, I would build it in linearly because I always write linearly. I have a hard time with the idea of like, okay, well, I'm going to write this and then I'm going to go back in time. Um, or like writing the end first. I've never done that. I've never ever done that.
No.
So, but like a key scene usually is something that will kick it off, or at least it used to be for sure. And now when I sit down, I know what I'm going to have to, I know what I'm going to working with. I have an idea of the tropes overall that I'm going to use. But my big focus now is on the character progression. So I'm always thinking about what is this, especially the woman, but what's holding her up, right? Like, what is causing her to not believe in herself or to hold back from claiming what she wants, which ultimately will be, among other things, the happily ever after relationship that she suddenly discovered and is complicated. Because otherwise, to me, it's like, I don't know how the story's going to unfold. If it's just like, nope, I'm completely sure in myself and I know what I want. And so it's like, then why aren't they together? So to build them together, I always build out like a woman's story of what she needs to do in order to take the risk or to think she's worthy of of taking the leap that she wants to take. So that's really where now I kind of plan in my mind, like what is the character's motivation, what's holding her back, and ultimately what does she need to learn about herself before the story can really finish itself. So that's much more of my like plotting style now, which is definitely not like what an actual plotter would define as plotting for sure. And then when we wrote together, which, someday we'll get back together. We both have very busy writing lives. But when we wrote at Sarah Sky, I think it's important to note because a lot of people ask me this question. I'm sure they do you too. How did you write a book with somebody else? Right. So when we wrote together, we did use a form of plotting, especially for Sips and Strokes. I feel like the more we got into it, the more loose we were because we both are naturally pantsers. But when we were writing together, it was really important, much more important to have a fairly clear understanding of where the story was going, or else I don't know how we would have ever gotten it started, right?
Yeah, no, I feel like I think because we have similar methods as
Hmm.
writers, that's why it worked. Because if I had been paired with somebody who was like an ultra plotter, I think that would
Hmm.
have been really bad.
Yeah.
Because I would have been like, I mean, I've done that before. Like I started out as somebody who wanted to outline and follow a plan. And every single time I would do that, every single time I would write a detailed outline that was multiple pages long and I planned everything out, it would always like just completely diminish any kind of like passion or drive I had for to write that book, which sucked. And I'm like, well, that's annoying because like I like this story, I like this idea, but every time I try to like plot it, I lose my love for it. So like I so I quit doing that. So I think it just worked that we were both okay with not having detailed outlines.
Yeah.
Like we so for all the books that we wrote together as Sarah Sky, we wrote dual POV.
Yep.
So like one of us would take the male character and one of us would take the female character and we just switch off chapters, which
Hmm.
I think worked really well because we didn't really have to like deviate out of that what we were used to, you know what I mean? Like we could just be that character for the entirety of the book and not have to like really go back and be like, okay, wait, how does she say this? How does he say this or whatever? So yeah, like you would just take a chapter, write it, maybe do a few notes in a Google Doc. We would always do it in a Google Doc
Right.
because that was like the most convenient way to do this. Instead of like, oh my God, the nightmare of like sending Word docs and saving it. Oh my God.
No, thank you.
Yeah. So like we would go into Google Docs, you would write your chapter, you would write a few lines or whatever. I would read your chapter, I would read the notes or whatever, then I would write the chapter. And we would always like have a plan for where the next few chapters would go.
Yes.
We always had a plan. It wasn't just like write whatever you want, because that we're not chaotic in that sense. Like we have
No.
some sort of game plan. It's just a little bit more it's just a little bit looser and accommodates like our writing style, I think. So that's how we did it. I know that that probably sounds crazy to some people who, but like, I don't know any other way to do, I don't know another way we could have done that because it wouldn't have worked if we were like, okay, it has to be this and like you can't deviate. Like we would have been changing and rewriting everything and it
Yeah.
would have been forever. Like I don't know. I really just think you have to find the right writing partner who suits your writing style.
Yeah. Every at the opening of every episode we say like, oh, bi-coastal besties and writing like and all of that stuff, but like we really do have a great compatibility for that kind of thing. Um, and I think I do think I couldn't imagine doing that with somebody else. Maybe there's another partner out there that it would work great, but it was like we both have a sense of urgency and priority without it being like what do I want to say? Without it being that like, no, we have to follow this exact script. And
Yeah.
in doing that, like you said, we did have our our plots tended to be more like a series of chapters or beats at a time. So we would plan out like the high level, but then we would kind of be mapping as we went. Like I remember there were moments where one of us would come up with a stroke of inspiration and be like, "Oh my gosh, we should put this in." And it was like, "Okay, let's put it in." But also because we were really compatible, and one of the reasons it sort of confirmed it and also reinforced it is that I remember, even though no, we didn't script anything out, there were many times when I would open and read the chapter you had just read, and I'd be like, that is exactly what I would have made this character say. So like we just had a really good ability to flow with that and then go back and just smooth it for continuity and everything. But yeah, that worked really
Yeah,
well.
it worked really well, I think. Yeah, you just have to find if you're gonna do this with somebody, it just needs to be the right person. Like, don't, like, I have many writing friends and who I would not ever write a book with because
Oh yeah.
that would
Yeah.
be a bad idea.
So let's talk about the idea. Let's just walk through from idea to finished book, okay? And where ideas come from these days. Like, yes, we established that initially it would be like a scene in our mind, but where do your ideas come from in more recent times? What sparks a book? And then, give us some examples of some of the books you've read. I mean, you can go back and then the idea of like bringing that all the way to a book. Like, walk me through one.
Honestly, okay, so the tropes are what inspire me right off the bat. I'm a romance tropes girly. Like if you give me a list of tropes for a book, like I would read that probably before I would read the blurb.
Okay.
So it always comes down to like it always starts off as tropes for me because there are some that I love and some that I hate and that I don't want to write. And I
Mhm.
just it just wouldn't work if I tried to write certain tropes. But so yeah, so like yeah, the trope, if you've read anything that I've written, you can tell that I have my favorite tropes. Like it's always a variation, not always, but often a variation of like enemies to lovers or fake dating
Hmm.
or proximity, some sort of like workplace romance. Even in my hockey romance series, like a lot of the couples get together because they work. Because one, the guy plays for the team, but like two, the woman works in some capacity for the team. So yeah, that's where that comes from. And then like honestly, just random stuff. Like random stuff that I like I'll hear something on the news, like some crazy thing somebody did to me. You know what? If I like, I could put that in a book. Like, I'll change it, obviously. I'm not using real people's
Hmm.
identities or anything like that. But I like, there were a couple times where I heard something happening on the news. I'm like, oh, that would actually be like a really interesting subplot if I just tweaked it to fit what I'm writing. And then also, I'm somebody who I really I love to read romance in addition to writing romance. So like I find a lot of inspiration just from being a reader,
Hmm.
reading just a book and being like, oh my gosh, that's such a cool take on this trope that the author did. Like, I bet what if I do it with like these characters, they're in this setting? What if I change this, this, and this? Oh my gosh, that could totally work. Like, that's how my brain
Hmm.
works. Or sometimes watching like binge watching shows on Netflix and Hulu, which is what I do when I need like a brain reset between books. I'll see something or I'll hear something like, oh my gosh, that is so Oh, I love that so much. Could I get away with that? Like, how could I translate that to a book? And I feel, and it doesn't always work, obviously, but yeah, that's where I get my inspiration, like tropes and randomness, but it works out.
I
How
love
about
that.
you, Sky? Where do you get your inspo?
It's a it's a really good question that I've asked. Um, I don't know. Like I want to say music
Mm.
because there are a lot of books that I've written, I think, or at least I can name a couple of them, where a song greatly influenced like the way that the book went. So probably like yeah. So like the song "But Daddy, I Love Him" by Taylor Swift, which came off
Mhm.
the Torture Poets. Um, it wasn't that story. It wasn't like the Taylor Swift story behind the song, but there was something about the vibe of it where it's like, I'm not taking your crap anymore and I don't want to hear it anymore. And I love this person that I really infused into Scored On because Stella's like a pushover to her parents and they are trying to match her with this jerk off. And like, but she likes this guy. And eventually she's just like, I don't want to hear it anymore. So it's not the story of like Taylor Swift's life. It was just like the vibes of that song really kind of infused itself into the song or into it. And I always have soundtracks. So there are always songs that are either like, I mean, yes, mentioned in the book, but also that are really thematic to the book. Um, Almost always. So that is definitely music is definitely a place where it's like the energy behind a song or like some of the lyrics. And I can't and sometimes I can't even really explain like, okay, well, obviously because this song said blah blah blah, this is what this book is. It's not really like that. It's more like the vibe of the song. Like there was a song Last Night's Mascara and I for some reason that just me that's in the slot to me and I can't really explain it other than something about the song was like, okay, this is the book. So that happens a lot in terms of kind of an energy of a book or like a vibe. In terms of the plot, I don't know. Those kind of get built around the characters. So I know that you're a tropes girly and like that's really where you lean in. And I really lean into like who are these characters and what are they doing? And then I will say like because obviously trope listing is important in marketing and connecting with readers, I tend to kind of back build the tropes. It's like, okay, well, yes, this is the grumpy sunshine, sure. Because to me it really is more about like what are these characters and what are they doing? So for my first book, I had this like vision of two desks in an empty office, and it was like, who would be there? And so that's how I kind of build the story around either like the idea of a character or the idea of two characters and what situation they find themselves in together. Um, so yeah, be the best thing I could say for in terms of spark of inspiration, but I'll just kind of take that and then build out like, okay, who they are and what's going on, and then how do they get together, and then how does that end up becoming like both difficult and then ultimately successful. Um, yeah, it's an interesting like thing to kind of unpack in terms of how does this actually happen? Because when you sit down to write a book, you're like, okay, I've got an idea and here we go. But it's like taking a pause to really think about, okay, where did that idea come from? Um, yeah.
I think honestly, like writers, authors, our brains are just wired to be
Yeah.
not like consciously like, okay, think of story ideas. I just think you're just like more open to stuff like, oh, that would be kind of cool if I did that. Or, oh, this person reminds me of this kind of character. Like I should see where this goes. Like it's a very organic, frenetic process for me.
Yes. Yes, it is. It is. Like I know people who plot really carefully, and I mean, I know some people who almost plot to the point where like kind of like you said, it's like the plotting becomes the activity.
Mhm.
Um, and that what you said about it kind of killing the joy. Yeah, after you've spent to me, after I spent time writing out this whole outline, it's like, okay, well, but that was the story.
Yeah.
Like I'm
Yeah. Now what do I
yeah, I'm
do?
done. Um, and then I know other people who write on vibes entirely, and like I have I have definitely known of someone who I read for who has been working on a draft different genre for a long time, but like literally is not sure where certain things are going, right? Like it's like, okay, well, I'll figure it out when I get there. And that is very different to me. I really couldn't imagine not knowing the story. Like it's definitely in my head, even if I get stuck or I'm not entirely sure how we get to point, to the ending. Like I definitely know why all my characters are doing what they're doing and where ultimately they're going to go. So I don't know, it's funny to think about that in between, but I do think writers' brains are kind of wired to pick up ideas. Like, for example, I have a whole note on my phone that's just random lines that people have said or I have heard that I'm like, okay, well, that's going to need to go into a book. And I don't know where, kind of like you in the news. Like, I don't know where that's going to go or why, but like my friend said, their demographic is people who chain eat hot dogs. And I don't know what to do with that statement, but I'm like, well, that clearly needs to be immortalized in
Yeah.
fiction, right?
I love that, but it's also like that's probably like in a way to insult somebody. That would be a fun little way to like make a dig at somebody.
Right.
But I'm the same way. Like I will think of lines. I'd be like, oh, that's such a good line. And I don't
Hmm.
have any idea where I'm gonna put it. So I'll just like I'll write it in the document and then I'll go back. Like I did that with my book, Desperate Pucker.
Yeah.
Because that's enemies to lovers. He's a player on the team who's like the veteran of the team who's been injured a lot, and she's the the team owner's daughter, and she's a figure skater and she's a skating coach. They hate each other, but they have to like work together. And her name is Madeline, but he calls her Maddie. Like everybody calls her Madeline, but he's the only one who calls her Maddie. And she's just like at one point, she's like, why do you always call me Maddie? Everybody calls me Madeline. And he's like, because it makes you feel like you're mine. And that just came to me like early on. And I'm like, well, I can't, this doesn't work in the beginning, but like this will work later on when like they've hooked up and they still don't like each other. So like I just kept writing to get to that point. I'm like, oh, finally I did it. Like, so that happens. I get the line thing. I don't have like a notes of it though, but I have moments where I'm like, I need to have this line. This is gold.
Yeah.
I need this.
I like that. The hook line, your hooky lines.
Yeah.
Um, That's interesting. I wish I did it more like that. So my note is more like random ass lines that I just
Yeah.
kind of want to somehow infuse. But when I think of lines, I tend to have pulled them out spontaneously. So talk about being a pantser. Like I'll write something and I'll be like, oh, that was really good. This is one of the lines that I'm going to use in like all of the marketing, right? Like I'm not, so what is it? I don't chase the puck, I own the puck. Like
Yeah, that's a good one though.
right? Quinn
Yeah.
says that. I didn't plan for that, but it's like the perfect hook line for a goalie, right? Like, I don't chase
Yeah.
the puck, I own the puck. But it sounds slightly dirty because everything's a play on puck.
Right. Yeah.
So when I wrote it, I was like, oh, that's good. But
Yeah.
I don't know, it just kind of came out. So it is interesting, like the way that our brains kind of hook into things, and then that becomes like integral to the story. I think it's important. Um, so talk about your writing schedule. Like, how does it work for you when you're sitting down to start a book?
Okay, so I am very not like regimented in a weird way, but like I always try to shoot for at least like I always try to write at least 5,000 words a day. When I'm like this is my first draft, like I just need to get words on the page. Um and that it sometimes it goes well, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's just like, oh my God, that was great. I'm so happy with those 5,000 words. And sometimes I'm like, that was garbage. And when I go back to revise, I know that this is going to be, this is going to be totally different from what I first put down on the page. But like, yeah, so I do that. I always have to have, I can't have music. I know you're a music person. I
Hmm.
can't have music. I mean, it doesn't need to be like weirdly quiet. It just, I can't be like watching TV. I can't have like 17
Yeah.
people behind me making noise. I can't deal with that. Like I have to have a big container of water. Like I don't know why I'm like thirsty all the time. Like I just need to have water because I don't want to be getting up like and getting
Yeah.
stuff for myself. I don't tend to eat when I'm writing. I actually don't like that. It really
Mm-mm.
takes me out of it and kind of grosses me out because if I'm touching my laptop, I don't want, you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm very much like I need to get these 5,000 words. I need to have water and you need to leave me alone. Like I need to be in a space by myself. Yeah.
How long did it take you to write 5,000 words on a
Uh,
general day?
on a day when I don't hate my life and hate everything that's on the page, it like I don't know, like 3 to 5 hours, just
Yeah.
depending on like if I'm like on it, it's crazy. Like I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, that didn't take long at all. That's
Yeah.
amazing. And if I'm like, I hate this, it can take all damn day and I won't hit my word count and I hate it.
Okay.
Like, you know,
So
yeah.
kind of tying that in as we bring this to a close, tying that into the sort of this book is broken or a moment where it's like, this isn't working. Because we all kind of have that moment, even with our favorite books. There's a moment where it's like, is this even good? When you're writing like that, do you the next day go back and revise what you've already done, or do you just keep pushing to get to the end of the first draft, knowing you're gonna go back and wrecking ball?
So if it's something that I know like I hate this, it's wrong, it feels off, I will go back and
Hmm.
fix it right then and there because usually it's something where like if I change that other stuff is going to change
Yeah.
in the story. So like, but if it's just like if it's a thing where it's not that important or it's a side thing, like I'll deal with it later. Or maybe it is something that needs a bigger fix, but I didn't realize it till I got like two-thirds of
Hmm.
the way done with something. It just like, but yeah, if it's really bothering me and I know it's wrong, I will go back and fix it. I know some people who don't though. They just push through it.
Yeah.
They put like a note or something. I'm like, I don't know how you do that. I mean, I'm not somebody who will revise in the middle of drafting. I won't do that.
Yeah.
But I'll fix something if it's wrong. Are
Yeah.
you the same way?
I definitely fix things if I know that it's wrong and I know how to fix it. I have written in drafts before in all caps like brackets fix this later because I know that it's weak and that it will need to be better, and I'm just not sure where, like, how to do that yet, but it's also not like the plot can't go forward without this happening, you know? So I definitely have done that before. A lot of times when I come back to it, I find that it's not actually as bad as I thought it was, in terms of coherency. Like, obviously, it will need to be fixed because, it's a first draft. But like sometimes it's like, oh, this is no good at all, and I go back and I'm like, actually, no, this does work. You just need to do this or this. So for the most part, I always start a day with a reread of what I did the next or the day before because I want to make sure I'm like back into the flow. And then if I need to change something, I will do it. But I don't like to revise as I go because like in a like meticulously because I feel like I'll never get to the end of the book, you know.
Mhm.
So, it's funny because as we talk about this, what I'm hearing is so many similarities. Like I too need a beverage. I too never eat while I'm working, but I do like music and I like the ability to just sit down and really focus. I don't want a lot of distractions or anything. But it's interesting because what I'm hearing from both of us is we both have some kind of like whimsical approaches of, all right, well, this is the trope or this is the idea, and then I go for it. But then also some pretty regimented things that get us from first story idea to final draft. And I think that that makes perfect sense because, in my opinion, if there weren't regimented things, I would never actually get it done. I would just, think about it or dabble with it for way too long.
Writing is such a individual, assuming you are writing on your own and not with like a team of people in a room or something like that. Like writing is a very individual activity. It's not really a team sport.
You're right.
So, but like literally, honestly, it's just like whatever works as long as you can get it written.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't matter what you do. If it works for you, keep doing
Yeah.
it, you know?
There's no perfect process, just the process that works for you and gets the book written.
Mhm.
Well, that was good for me, Sarah. Was it good for you?
Hell yeah, it was good for me. If you loved this episode, take a second to rate it and review the podcast wherever you're listening.
It helps more romance lovers find us, and we really do appreciate it.
So until next time, read a romance, write a romance.
Just have fun. Yep. Thanks, guys.